1,000 Adams and 1,000 Muhammad, and from Jabarut coming and from Lahut coming every 1,000 years, and this is the picture there. One of the conclusions that you can quickly get at is that, by the way, where is hell then?
Yes.
Hell is in our minds.
Pardon?
Hell is in our minds.
Yes. Yeah. So the picture that Baha'u'llah gives us, there is no such a thing as hell. And if there is no such thing as hell there, then there is no evil there. So what is it in the writings we are reading and all the time? There is really evil. Yes, we know, they say it's a negative aspect. It's absence of good is evil. Now, this is solved for me very easily. When we had a course meeting in Leeds. You know where Leeds is? Yeah? In Yorkshire, it's north of England. A big city, university city and all. Anyway, this has got a story to it which will fascinate you. I was approached to go and do the course, and I went to the feast there. And it's a community that has got 45 members and established assembly for a long time. And then I said, okay, if you want me to come and do the course, let's have a venue. And one of the Baha'is said, then you can have it in my house. So I want to get to know this Baha'i. His name is Mehran Muhajirin. Muhajirin, you see, a lot of Persian names of people who are Baha'is for a long time, or 2 generations, 3 generations, as soon as they say their surname, you realize they are Baha'is, if you know a little about Baha'i faith. Because there was no such thing as family name at the time of Bab and Baha'u'llah. It's only recently that family name has come to fashion. So when they call Baha'is to call them, give themselves a title, they choose some of those titles that Abdul Baha'u'llah gave them, or chose an attribute, meaning a lot of Baha'is is called Mazlum, meaning just from the word, one of the tablets, this is wronged ones. The family is wronged ones. A lot of the Baha'is you hear now, Shahid, Shahidi, Shahidzadeh means martyr, belonging to martyr, and the descendant of martyr. These are their surnames, for obvious reason. Yes? Anyway, these Mr. Muhajirin is called Muhajirin, means pioneer. His surname is Pioneer. Why? Because when one tablet, Baha'u'llah wrote to one of the ancestors that you are pioneer. So he chose his name, surname Pioneer. Now, he told me a fascinating thing which is related to what we are talking about. So, Mehran said, do you know how I came to England? I said, no. He said, they realized, no, he said he married in England, and his wife was not a Baha'i, she was a Muslim. The brothers of his wife didn't like him very much, so they went to the authorities and they said, look at him, this Baha'i has gone and married, he's dared to marry a Muslim girl. They just took him to prison. How dare you marry a Muslim? You're a Baha'i. And they took him to prison. He said to me, they took me to prison, and then they put him to trial. I'm making it very brief now. And then they said, trial and no defense and no lawyers and no nothing. And then they came and read, they said, well, he is condemned to death. It is at the discretion of the public prosecutor to arrange his hanging or shooting. Goodbye. Then back to prison. The public prosecutor comes to him to the prison he calls him. He says, you know you have been condemned to death, don't you? He says, yes. He says, well, it's new Nowruz. Nowruz. The Persians have Nowruz apart from Iran. It's the time of celebration and New Year and everything else. You go and spend the Nowruz with your family. As soon as Nowruz is over, come back here. So, okay. He goes. He goes as a holiday, Nowruz and everything. He said, after it, I was like a good Baha'i. First day after Nowruz, I went to his office and it was very busy. And I said, I want to see him. And he saw me and he said, what's it? He said, I was condemned to death. I've had my holiday, I've come. He says, what's the rush? It's just holiday finished yesterday, what's the rush? Go home, I'll call you. So he said, it just seems it's a theater, really. He goes home and he said, suddenly somebody came from the prosecutor's office, says, would you arrange 300,000 and then they will forget about it. 300,000 and we will forget about it, hanging you. So he goes to all his business friends and family and everything, and they sell a piece of land and this and that. They get 300,000. And then, now listen to this one. The Baha'is call him. Hey, what are you doing? He says, well, you know I'm condemned to death. They have said, if you use 300,000, you're all right. He says, I've got it. He said, no, you can't go and pay them. There are many other Baha'is in your position. If you pay, they have to pay, and they don't have it. Now, can you see the dilemma? You're condemned to death. You can escape with 300,000, and you've got it in your hand. If you go and give it to them, Baha'is get unhappy. If you don't give it, you're going to lose your life. So he said, you know what I did? I thought, I better give 300,000 to the smugglers, and without the passport, they took me to Pakistan. So neither Baha'is were no. When he got to Pakistan, he sent to United Nations, and his brother was living in England. So the United Nations arranged for him to come as a refugee to England. Now, look at the brothers of his wife that they caused all that mess. As soon as he settled down in England, they said, your wife is coming now, we are getting a ticket for her. And she arrived with their money. They arrived, she arrived. And when I went to their house, they said, we want you to come and do this course in our house, because my wife has just declared. And we come back. Okay. So, you see, don't forget, I'm going back to this. So she said to me, Khosro, we started the course, but one night, when we finished, all the Baha'is went, she told me to stay behind. And he said, I kept you to ask you one thing. You know, you believe in Quran as well, don't you? Yes, of course I believe in Quran. Wherever I go, I sell Quran as well. Yes? So she said, you know all about Quran? I said, well, of course I know, but if I don't know something, I'll tell you. She said, she asked me, she says, in Quran says God created genie, and human being. Have you heard of it? Genie. In the films, they say genie came out of the bottle, had this great power and all that. Genie. He says, now that you are teaching this course, you tell me where is the genie then? We know human being, but where is the genie? If Quran is from God, where is the genie?
Who's genies?
Don't you know what is genie? Have you not seen the films?
Genies.
genie, you know, Aladdin and the, what's it, magic lamp.
Oh, right.
You rub it and the genie comes
Oh,
in.
right.
He said, anything you want, I'll do for
No,
you. 3
yeah,
wishes. Okay. Yeah. She said, where is this genie then? With all these powers and everything. That Quran says God created. And because this film is going to finish and we have 15 seconds to wait, I just finish it here. I said to her, excuse me, I don't know. I don't know. I will go and find out. Next time I come, I will tell you. And they started telephoning around and they introduced me to Mr. Hishmatullah Muhammad Hosseini. I don't know if you know him. He's a very learned man who's perfect Arabic language as well as Persian. And he teaches the most holy Baha'i book, Kitab al-Aqdas. Every Sunday at Mr. and Mrs. Alloy's near the Guardian's resting place, from Arabic to Persian Baha'is. All right? So I telephoned Mr. Alloy. I said, I want Mr. Hishmatullah Muhammad Hosseini, I have a question to ask him. It's Arabic, from Quran. And he says, you're lucky, he's just here. He's come for prayer to the Guardian's gate. So I'll call him. He called him, came. Mr. Muhammad Hosseini, I'm doing a course. They said, where is genie? What's happening? Yeah. He says, have you got a pen? Yes. Write down. From memory. He said, they asked Abdul Baha this question, but in Arabic. So, this was the question, write it in Arabic. I can write Arabic, but I cannot understand what I've written. You know what I mean? It's like if you read the French, it has got Latin words, you know, alphabet, but you wouldn't know the meaning of it. It's the same with us. So I wrote it, he told me how to write it, and I wrote it, and then he translated it for me. This is the course. And then he said, Abdul Baha naturally answered in Arabic. So write that, and this is the translation. Are you happy? Yes. Thank you very much. Back to late, told them, they have asked Abdul Baha, what is genie? He says, when in Quran says, God created genie and human being means the body, genie is the spirit. Huh? When you solve the problem, it's very easy.
The spirit or the soul?
Well, a spirit. In that sense, now we say why, the reason, that Abdul Baha says why. He says, a spirit, this is what you said as well. The only thing is you said mind, but it's a little different. It's both mind, heart and will. We come to that a bit, few minutes later, in the concept of spirituality. Abdul Baha says, human being's body, and it has got a spirit. That a spirit is genie. Why then, he says? He says, this genie, that's why I'm saying, have you seen the films and the stories about it? He says, it's powerful. But it has the choice either to turn to God or reject God. Right? But in both cases can be powerful. It can be powerful when it turns towards God to become Dr. Mahajer, hand of the cause. It can become Varga, the hand of the cause. It can become a spiritual giant. It can become like you. You are angels. You have turned to the God and you have turned to His manifestation for today. And you have got the power to change the world, but to change it to a divine civilization. But also the same human being has got the power to reject God and go the opposite way and become what? A giant bad one, Hitler. He can cause so many millions of life to be taken. He's going to turn completely against it. Another one who? Deihim. To become Deihim. It can become Stalin. Oh, Russian, what was it? President. They banned the Baha'i faith. Deihim in Uganda said, no more Baha'i faith. Close everything down. Stalin said in Russia, you know, first Baha'i temple was built in Russia, closed it down, confiscate everything. The Russian ones, they went to labor camps in Siberia. The Persian ones, they chucked out of the country, kicked out. All right? Abdul Nasser, he was very young, and he had a very lot of revolutionary ideas, but he had turned against God, and he said he banned it. And when he was at the peak of his power, suddenly dropped and died, heart attack. You remember Suez crisis. Right? Deihim collapsed. Do you know what's happened to him? He's just begging money from Saudi Arabia king living in Saudi Arabia now.
What about Hitler? You said Hitler.
Hitler, what happened eventually? In the underground of his house, he had to commit suicide after killing all these people. And he banned the Baha'i faith in Germany. Why do we have the temple in Germany? Because that was where the most of opposition to the faith came. And now we have got the Baha'i temple in Frankfurt. And he confiscated anybody Baha'i, German, stopped everything. So Yushobi Afandi had to close down everything.
Sorry, just backtracking just a second. You said that the spirit can turn towards good or evil.
Yes.
Okay. But then earlier you said that spirit has only an association with each of us on this life. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what is the nature of association? Like the sun and the mirror, I said.
Right.
So, sun doesn't do anything. Everything that happens is through the power of the mirror doesn't do anything. Everything that happens is through the influence of a spirit.
Yes, but that spirit, if it's in another realm of malakut,
Yes.
and correct me if my understanding is wrong, that everything that is in malakut is good. So how can, if it's just...
No, you see, that's why we read it. One of you came here and read it, didn't you? He said, man has been given that spirit, that choice. Only the man, human being, has been given that power.
Yeah, but
the spirit has got this power, great power, but it has been given the free will. It can turn to God, it can reject God.
Yeah, I think when I understand you right, when you say man, you mean the spirit, not the body.
Oh yes, that. The spirit is, everything is to do with the spirit. Otherwise, I'll come to it, I don't want to go too much to it, because if I do, then we got to that, we have said it already. The soul and the spirit, the soul and the body really, when later on we will study in depth, a bit later, it is just like animal. The soul and the body are just like animals. They do something automatically and instinctively, and they cannot deviate. It is their spirit that causes to deviate. See, all the other animals, never mind how ferocious they are, like lions or tiger or anything, wolf and all that, they are in the eyes of God, they are not breaking any laws. They are just following their instinct.
But how can the spirit be evil if in the realm of malakut everything is spirit? Is
Who
good?
said in the malakut everything is good? When did we say that in malakut
Said
everything?
it.
I give you, you have to say where is your authority. If this has been translated to English, selection from the writings of the Bab. Just listen to this. This is significant. It's not in your handout. If you want, make a note of it. It says, Bab says, maybe when I say it, maybe you remember it, but if you don't, you want pen? Somebody astonishing. No manifestation of God has made this mention. This sentence that I'm going to tell you. But probably if you have read the selection of writings of Bab, you know it already. As soon as I say it, you know it. He says, those people who turn away from God, those people who turn away from God. Now listen to this. No manifestation of God has said this. Listen. He says, God will provide them with all the means of pleasure, not only in this world, but even in the life after, hereafter, so that they become busy and become remote from God. It gives them everything, so that they become remote from God. Not only there, even here, this part of it is astonishing. Bob says, even your spirit after this life, if it is a wicked spirit and turns away from God, God will provide even there for them to get on with their own pleasures and everything and forget Him.
So this statement is really from the book of hearsay that you very often hear Baha'i say, we only take the good we have with us.
Yeah.
So we can take not so good with us also.
Of course you can. Of course you can. In this sense that we didn't know until Abdul Baha made the interpretation that when Clifford Barnes asked him, he said, does everybody live after this world? Does every human being? He said yes. Categorically he said yes. But he qualified it. Then he said, yes, everybody will go to the